Studio 31.
WZMQ 19 News at 11 starts now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Haley Potter. Thanks for watching 19 News. This is Home at 11. We begin tonight at 11 with a first look at the weather forecast. You're telling me it could be a slight warm-up, John?
Yeah, I mean, we can't be throwing backyard parties and barbecue. Well, you can barbecue at any time of the year, but nonetheless, it's going to be a little bit warmer. We're going to actually see some rising temperatures as we head on into the overnight. As we head on into tomorrow, we're looking for a high of 20 degrees, and it's going to feel much better. The problem is those wind chills may keep us from enjoying the 20s tomorrow, and a little blowing snow too, so watch out for that as you head off to work and school in the morning. Still some leftover flakes with that blowing snow I'm talking about, and we'll see these temperatures starting to rise as we head on into the overnight. And of course, the ever so important weekend outlook, that is straight ahead, and it's not looking too bad if you have some outdoor plans, want to wax up those skis or the snowmobiles. Well, you don't wax it. Well, you could wax those, I guess. 18 degrees, 7 a.m. as you head out the door for your bus stop forecast. Going to be breezy, going to be windy tomorrow. Still some good gusts across the area. And into the afternoon, those rising temperatures, well, we say goodbye to those, and we'll start seeing temperatures declining around 3 p.m. And we'll see some windy conditions out there. Of course, remember, bundle up, cover that exposed skin. We want to have a good weekend and you to stay healthy. Morning forecast coming up.
Thanks, John. And some good news here in Michigan as Governor Whitmer joined General Motors to announce a historic investment that will secure the automotive manufacturer's commitment to creating an all-electric future and 5,000 new and retained manufacturing jobs right here in Michigan. Here's what the governor had to say about this.
So it is a great day in Michigan. We are announcing that GM's investing $7 billion in Delta and Orion townships to create and retain 5,000 good-paying jobs building electric vehicles and batteries. Today, that story continues because GM is doubling down on their commitment to make it in Michigan, building on our legacy and forging our future as leaders of electrification. GM's $7 billion.
New tonight, Russia is not backing down from its border with Ukraine. With thousands of troops in position, analysts say President Vladimir Putin could order an invasion at any given time now, which has the U.S. taking steps to help its NATO partners and possibly Ukraine. Skylar Henry has the very latest from Washington. And some lawmakers on Capitol Hill believe sanctions could slow Russia's aggressions. A Marquette man is behind bars tonight after he was arrested on 2 charges relating to child pornography. According to reports from the Mining Journal, Thomas Charles Ramus is charged with 1 count of child sexually abusive activity and 1 count of using a computer to commit a crime. Reports say authorities received a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Investigators seized multiple internet-capable devices after searching his home. Ramus faces up to 40 years if convicted. Both charges carry a 20-year sentence, and he could face more charges as this investigation continues. And here locally, COVID-19 cases remained steady across the region. In Marquette, the county health department is reporting about 95 positive COVID-19 cases. Hospitalizations are also remaining steady for the most part, with a slight decrease in COVID-19 patients being hospitalized here right now. And average daily COVID-19 cases are trending down across the nation, but hospitalizations, well, they continue to rise, while the current variant appears to be not as deadly as Delta, especially among those vaccinated and boosted. U.S. health experts warn, do not underestimate the Omicron variant.
Across the U.S., it spread like wildfire.
The stunning thing about Omicron is how remarkably infectious it is. I've been doing infectious disease control for 30 years, and with the possible exception of measles, it is the most infectious virus I've seen.
In less than 2 months, Omicron has packed a punch on the U.S., setting records after accounting for nearly all new COVID cases, pushing Delta into the background. While cases may fall as quickly as they rose, health experts say don't count the variant out just yet.
The biggest risk is that the fact that we are all so very tired of COVID will lead to us letting down our guard And if another variant comes, we won't respond effectively.
Former CDC Director Dr. Tom Frieden says for people who are vaccinated and boosted, which is now about a quarter of the U.S. population, COVID-19 caused by Omicron may be similar in severity to the flu in many respects, or they may have no symptoms at all. The concern comes with those who aren't vaccinated.
The virus is adapting. As long as we adapt, we can move forward. If we don't adapt to the virus, it's going to continue to get ahead of us because no one, and I want to emphasize this, no one can predict with accuracy what's coming after Omicron.
And some good news on the COVID-19 front tonight. Pfizer and BioNTech have begun a clinical trial for an Omicron-specific COVID-19 vaccine. The companies say they're studying the safety, tolerability, and level of immune response in 1,400 healthy adults ages 18 to 55. Some patients will be getting the vaccine as both a primary dose and as a booster dose. Despite this new clinical trial, Pfizer doesn't expect the production of the original vaccine to be affected at all. They still plan to produce 4 billion doses in 2022. Pfizer also emphasizes that people who are already boosted have a high level of protection against Omicron. That's some reassuring news tonight. And the Marquette County Health Department is no longer requiring students in pre-K through 6th grade to wear a mask in school. County Health Officer Jerry Messana's order was put into place on September 20th, and it ended today. The order said that the mask mandate would stay in place until the community transmission was listed as moderate to low by the CDC for at least 14 days, or until further notice from the Marquette County Health Officer. Now, however, we do know the county's transmission rate is currently listed as high by the CDC. School districts within the county are still able to enact their own mask rules, and a CDC mandate still requires students to wear a mask on the school bus. Meanwhile, across the nation, high school students in the Washington, D.C. area are calling on their school districts to change some of their COVID-19 policies in the classroom. Some are saying their policies have been a little too lax. Our Washington, D.C. correspondent Rachel Knapp reports.
During the school day, a handful of Banneker Academic High School students in Washington, D.C. were spotted outside the classroom. But there's a reason for that. There was a district-wide walkout among D.C. students, concerned about the district's COVID policies in the classroom.
The purpose of this walkout is to kind of not only criticize the way that DCPS has handled the situation with in-school learning, but also to bring awareness over the fact that this directly affects us.
They say with the surge of the Omicron variant, which has heavily impacted D.C., they want to see some COVID policies change.
Some of the goals including just more testing for students, especially with the amount of COVID cases in DC in general, especially in DCPS, and the lack of transparency within those tests and the reporting of it. Also, more hybrid learning aspects for students that feel unsafe.
So we want deep cleaning in the schools. Only about 10% of us get tested a week, and like that's not a lot of us. We also want like all of us to get tested, or if they can do all of us, a great number of us, so that we could all make sure that like nobody has the virus, and if they do, like how they could not spread it to anyone else.
This walkout follows another student walkout in neighboring Montgomery County, Maryland last week. Students also felt there were inadequate COVID mitigation measures and demanded more flexibility for remote learning. And also happening in neighboring Virginia. Several school districts, including Arlington and Alexandria, recently sued Governor Glenn Youngkin for his executive order allowing masks to be optional rather than mandatory in public schools. These D.C. students say they deserve the safest conditions when it comes to COVID, and their health should not be compromised for education.
I feel like if our goals met, it would make me feel a lot more safe and a bunch of students a lot more safe in school.
In Washington, D.C., Rachel Knapp reporting.
And we did reach out to D.C.'s public schools for an interview on this walkout and to see if they will consider some COVID-19 policy changes, but we have not heard anything back at this time. And while the debate continues whether to mask or not to mask, the debate also continues over what kind of mask should be worn. For the best protection against COVID-19, D.C. recommends layered masks like the N95 and notes that a snug fit is crucial. But with so many masks on the market, it can be confusing. So CBS Elise Preston takes a closer look with the help of an aerosol scientist. If you're looking for something to do in Marquette this weekend, Police and Firefighter Ball is being held as a way to give back to those who protect our community on the daily basis. The 4th annual event takes place on Saturday, January 29th from 6 until 10 at the Northern Michigan University's Northern Center. The event not only raises money for local police and fire departments, but the money will also go to local charities. The ball returns after a one-year hiatus caused by the pandemic and features a raffle and an auction where guests can win several different prizes. Updates for the event can be found on the Ball's Facebook page. Still to come tonight, as the winter season continues, it's important to check on the foundation of your house to make sure the weather isn't impacting it in a negative way. We have everything you need to know coming up. Stick with us. 19 News, this is home. We'll be right back.
Now, WZMQ 19 News First Warning Weather with John Stalen.
All right, we got a little break in the snow. There might be a little bit here and there, but nothing that should pile up greatly for us. But the little concern is the inch or two that some of us get maybe on the overnight could cause some issues for your morning commute. So make sure if you don't have a garage, you got to brush off the car. Make sure that you allow yourself some extra time. This is what it looks like at midnight on Thursday. And you can see here McMillan through Sault Ste. Marie, western region, seeing a little bit more of a moderate snow shower. We can see a little bit out here in Escanaba or so up towards Houghton, up there into Copper as well. We're looking pretty decent here, and here in Marquette, not much in the way of snow, but that snow continues through 4 a.m. out to the west. We are looking at a little bit of snow between Cuppington and Houghton, and as we head on through the day, just maybe a little bit of a snowflake or two. I'm not looking for a significant accumulation by tomorrow night. Most of that snow is gone out of the area. Not looking for a huge accumulation, I said, a couple of inches possible. The deeper blues, yeah, you might see a little bit more. And out here into the western region, you probably can see anywhere between 2 and 4 inches, but into that purple area, maybe about 6. Maybe 6 to 8, 6 to 10 is possible. All right, take a look at the winds as we head on into the overnight. Again, yeah, they're brisk winds, and if you work overnight or outside, it's going to be a little bit cold out there, obviously. But the good news with this is that temperatures will be rising throughout the overnight, so the wind chills won't be as cold, but still dangerously cold, as they could be between 0 and 10 below. So watch out for that. Tomorrow morning, a little brisk wind, about 13 miles an hour. But as you can see here, those wind gusts are still pretty strong out here as we head on into the overnight hours. That could create some blowing snow if you're doing some driving, heading out the door tomorrow morning. Still some gusty winds out there for you. Hold on to your lunch pails, my friends, because it will be a little brisk for us. So as we head on into Thursday, look for temperatures around 20 degrees. We're rising and then we're falling, so enjoy it while it lasts. Really, those winds still kicking up right around lunchtime tomorrow. Into the afternoon, a dozen degrees, 20-mile-an-hour winds from the north-northwest. We're 10 at 8 p.m. with mostly cloudy skies and still a little brisk out there. Here's the zone outlook as we take a look at the UP for you from the west to the east, and temperatures, they're okay. Some areas obviously going to be colder. Florence, Escanaba, McMillan, all into the single digits. Teens for you. Sault Ste. Marie, Mackinac City, out into Cuppington, and out into here into Marquette, 16. But again, those temperatures are rising throughout the nighttime, but they're rising only for a short time. We'll see temperatures near 20 degrees early into the morning. Those snow showers out to the east, and all in all, those temperatures will fall throughout the day. So enjoy it while it lasts. So temperatures near 20 for your Thursday. For your Friday, as we get ready for the weekend, we're into the teens, maybe another little bit of snow moving on through the area. Partly cloudy skies for your Saturday, a little bit of sunshine, more clouds for Sunday. We're at 24, and then we're up to near 30 for Monday and Tuesday.
The snow will come as a good news for anyone interested in ice racing this weekend in Gwinn, Michigan. The popular ice racing will continue, this time under the bright lights. This week, it's a nighttime event put on by the Upper Michigan Ice Racing Association. Tickets are $5, and you can find race details on their website and their Facebook page. I sat down with one of the board members for the Ice Racing Association, and we will hear from him tomorrow night on 19 News. This is home. You won't want to miss it. And the snow and ice isn't all good news all the time. It's really affecting our homes. And a big issue is how the water and ice is impacting the foundation of your home. I talked to an expert who has some tips. Here in the UP, we are no strangers to the snow, and neither are our homes, but winter storms do damage houses, specifically the foundation, as snow keeps building up.
And eventually that snow is going to melt, right? So when this happens, typically the snow on the roof is going to melt at a quicker rate, and then your gutters and your downspouts are clogged up with ice. So that water just runs right over the gutter and the downspouts and then kind of down alongside your foundation, eventually entering your basement.
I caught up with the expert Ethan Hummel, who tells me winter is inevitable, but there are ways to prevent damage before it's too late, like checking for cracks in the foundation.
To basically avoid a larger issue, which that water freezing inside your walls becomes, not an issue, it becomes devastating.
Hummel's advice, get your house and foundation inspected before winter and anytime you notice any of the warning signs.
Cracks in your foundation, floors that are uneven, windows that might not be opening and closing the same with doors. Also, you might, again, see some unexplained water marks on your drywall. If you have a finished basement and you get a crack in the outside of your foundation, you'll just start to notice your drywall getting wet, and typically it's coming from a crack in the foundation.
He says noticing those little things makes a big difference. And he also says that, of course, taking those preventative measures can really save you in the long run. American athletes are on their way to Beijing for the Winter Games, but it's not all smooth sailing. Athletes are growing nervous as COVID-19 continues to surge. Details next.
This is home, it's where we get along. This is home, and together we're strong. Oh, this is home. This is home, it's our town, it's our song. This is home, this is where we
You're watching WZMQ-19 News with Haley Potter.
As athletes start to arrive for the 2022 Winter Olympics that are set to kick off a week from today, many of them are feeling a bit nervous, and it's not just about competing.
For Winter Olympic athletes, just getting to Beijing is as nerve-wracking as competing for gold. Nearly 3,000 athletes will be gathering under the world's strictest COVID countermeasures. They've trained their entire careers for this moment, but a positive COVID test could derail it all.
One positive test is going to do us in at this point. It's super stressful. I didn't know that I really struggled with anxiety, to be totally honest, until the past couple months.
U.S. mogul skier Hannah Soares and her teammates have been isolating in Utah for the past month. They live in separate homes, socially distance on the mountains, order groceries for delivery.
No one's looked at each other in the eyes. I haven't literally been inside anywhere besides this house for the past month.
Soares even wears a KN95 mask under her neck warmer on the slopes.
And so I just treat everyone like they have COVID, and it creates a lot of anxiety in my life, but hopefully it gets me to China.
Athletes have to test negative for COVID twice before boarding a plane, once within 96 hours and another within 72 hours before departure, then daily tests in Beijing. Organizers are relying on sensitive PCR tests, which means recently recovered but healthy athletes could potentially be isolated or barred from competing.
They've gone to the public health extreme. That test is so sensitive, it is merely picking up remnants of the virus. You are not contagious to anyone else.
Organizers aren't taking any chances. The host country is sticking to its zero COVID policy, where just one case can trigger lockdowns and mass testing. During the Tokyo Summer Olympics here, 41 athletes tested positive for COVID. At least 24 had to withdraw from competition. Now with Omicron and even stricter rules at the Beijing Games, it's inevitable some athletes are going to lose their chance to compete. A positive test could send an athlete into isolation at a facility in China until they get 2 consecutive negative tests, which experts say take weeks. Olympians will be completely separate from the rest of China, part of what organizers are calling a closed-loop system, multiple bubbles connected by dedicated shuttles. Then there's the mountainous venues, Yanqing and Zhangjiakou, north of Beijing, all connected by high-speed rails. British skeleton racer Laura Dees was in Yanqing last fall for training.
Everything that we did, training, eating, sleeping was all within this bubble. But it felt incredibly organized.
Ahead of the games, she's self-isolating in the UK and getting creative training without a gym. While Dees knows what to expect in Beijing, it's the next few days that are the most tense.
I've jumped all of these hurdles over the past few years to get to this point, and I'm just trying really hard to do all the right things now so that I can get to Beijing safely without COVID.
For athletes this year, just stepping foot into the Olympic bubble will be a victory.
And of course, best of luck to all of those athletes. A stumbling skier is going viral for stealing the show in Seven Springs Snow Resort in Pennsylvania. Abby Way was giving her regular marketing report on conditions at Seven Springs last week, seemingly oblivious to the skier who was trying to work her way down the steps to get to the slopes. Take a look, you can see it right now. The minute-long report continues, cutting between footage of the slopes and Way, with the struggling skier behind her quite literally falling down the steps. Now comes the question, was all of this staged? Well, Seven Springs Marketing and Communications Director says yes, it was staged. They say the woman on the steps is the e-commerce manager and has been in the back of these videos before, but this is the first time that it really caught on. John has one last check of the weather when we return. 19 News will be right back.
All right, look for a leftover flake or two. Otherwise, we'll see a little bit of blowing snow with some strong winds across the area. Rising temps, though, on the overnight. And you'll see your weekend is looking fantastic, too, as we recap the headlines. As we head on into your Thursday, 20 degrees. That'll be an early daytime high with temperatures falling throughout the day. It'll be a little blustery out there with winds up to 25 miles an hour and some wind gusts still stronger than that. Pickup time 7 a.m., 18 degrees. We're falling down to the middle to low teens into the afternoon with cloudy and cold conditions. David Walter will have an update on your forecast tomorrow morning.
And that's our report for this evening. Our next news is at 6 p.m. tomorrow. 19 News, this is home. Until then, have a great night, everyone.